This is the 2023 Brewtubers Online Brewers Club Yeast Experiment, British Brown Ale. Thanks to our sponsors: Imperial Yeast, 5 Star Chemicals, Yakima Valley Hops, Beer and Wine Hobby Homebrew Store, and Brewers Hardware. Let's get tasting.
What is up, guys? Chris back from Burgles Brewing, aka Captain Duck, as all my late 80s, 90s kids would know. Deep pull from Mighty Ducks D2. Got the Charlie Conway jersey on. That's besides the point, though, you know? Let's get into the meat of what this video is about. I have finished all my reviews for the Brewtubers 2023 British Brown Ale Yeast Experiment. So just want to kind of give an overall recap, go back through my rankings, and just kind of, rate the experience with the whole thing. So I think, first of all, got to shout out Nick from Exit 12, coming up and designing a absolutely wonderful recipe, true to the British style, all British style ingredients, English. I don't know where to draw the line on British, English, so I kind of use them interchangeably, and I think you'll probably see that in my videos. But to recap the recipe again: crisp, floor malted, number 19 Maris Otter, some crisp brown malt, some double roasted crystal from Simpsons, a little more coffee malt, I don't know if it's Simpsons or Crisp, I can't remember, and then some pale chocolate from Crisp as well. Hops, a little Challenger for bittering, Fuggle mid-boil, and then a little EKG towards the end. And again, we all use the same kind of water profile, mash temp, and then picked our own yeast and fermented it that way. So again, Nick, can't shout you out enough for that recipe. It was wonderful. And the first thing is just, it's amazing how much more similar all these beers were than they were different. I mean, some of them, yet there were some, at least with the way the yeast came through with the esters, were different in that with how much ester came through from the yeast, that English, that stone fruit, raisin, plum type thing. But as far as letting the malts come through, a lot of them, came off to me very, very similar. So towards the end, when I got towards the top, my rankings, it was really nitpicking at that point. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this. I went back and rewatched I rewatched all of my reviews so that I could go back and put myself in the mindset of, how I felt, and rewatch my, how I ranked them at the time and my experience. And then I've kind of gone through and I've watched as many of the other guys' videos as I could, just to see, what they're picking up compared to me. And it's amazing how different people's palates perceive things differently. Like Nick or Billy or Matt or somebody can pick up one thing off of a beer, I pick up something completely different, or they pick up something I can't even sense it. Or I think Kurt was saying in some of his, he's really sensitive to clove, but not really diacetyl. So, and some people might be the opposite, might really not pick up clove, but really pick up diacetyl. So I think it was really intriguing to go back and see from all the different, the 8 of us that reviewed these, to see the difference of perception and how our palates felt about the beers. So that was really cool. And before I go into the rankings, just preface by saying there was not a bad beer in the bunch. I thoroughly enjoyed every single one of these. Finished the cans. The spares that I have, I've either pounded or I will pound. Like I said, really good. It just speaks to the recipe, and B, the quality of brewers that we have in the Brewtubers Club. Yeah, because like I said, not a bad beer in the bunch. I drank all of them, thoroughly enjoyed it. No really flaws in any of them. No off flavors that I could pick up. No, obviously infections or anything like that. So, and a lot of the critiques are small nitpicking, because we're sitting here, we're trying to rank 8 beers. So you have to, when you're picking out something to, not that you dislike, but to, kind of separate your rankings. So, and saying that, let's get started. I'm going to start from 8 down to 1. And the only reason I'm putting this one 8, with Dave from Big Dog with the T58, because I just feel the T58 is a Belgian yeast and it doesn't really fit the style. I loved that beer. If I was going off of just personal preference of what I would drink more of, I'd put Dave's a lot higher, because I do love Belgian beers, and I like the way that yeast played with the darker malts. It's kind of almost like a light double, the way that it came off to me. But because I think it's just that the yeast doesn't fit the style of a British English brown ale, I'm going to have to put it last. Coming at number 7 is going to be Brewmaster Jerry from Fermentation Adventures. And that was just, to me, again, a really good beer. It just was a little more one note to me than some of the other ones, where I really just picked up a lot of like a coffee flavor, like a roasty coffee, and that was really it. I didn't get really any of those esters from the yeast or anything like that you'd expect. It was a really good beer. Drank the whole thing, like I said, but it was a little one note to me. So coming at number 6 was Billy from Damn Dude Brewing. And I feel like Billy's was the most similar to mine as far as, and I think if you look at, the yeast that he used, I think it was WLP, I can't remember which one it was, that compared to the Lallemand London that I used, I think they're supposed to be the same strain, if I remember correctly, so that would make sense. And just, for some reason, I didn't find Billy's as complex. And maybe you don't need complexity for a British brown ale, but I just felt like it needed a little more something. It was a very good beer, very drinkable, very crushable, finished really dry. You got some of those darker characters, but it just didn't have the ester profile, maybe some more complexities that some of the other ones did. Coming at number 5 is my own, and this I want to put an asterisk next to mine, because I think the way it presented in the bottle and going back watching everybody else's reviews, it was kind of the same thing. I think I rushed it into the bottle a little bit, got undercarbed, and I don't think it presented itself very well. It presented itself, I mean, my FG finished high, so it was on the sweeter side. But I think once it really settled, about 7 to 10 days later, and even after that, once the carb really settled into that beer and it aged for a little, and not aged, but conditioned for like another week or two, it was a completely different beer. It had a lot of the same notes that it had in the original version, but they popped. It was just accentuated once that carbonation set in. You got a little more of the yeast character, a little bit the darker malts, kind of those chocolate roasty characters kind of dissipated a little bit and let the other stuff shine through, a little bit of that toffee caramel thing. But it was a very good beer. I'll put an asterisk next to it because I know how it tasted off of the tap once it was like aged and carbed. So when I was tasting mine even out of the bottle, I was kind of picking up those flavors just because I know that they were there. So it was kind of a mind thing. Number 4, and then these last 4, it was really hard to rank these. I was really grasping, really small nitpicks, grasping at straws to rank them. I'm going to go Exit 12 at number 4, like I said. Again, nothing wrong with it. That house yeast from Imperial, I've used it before, love it. Really let everything kind of shine. And the only thing, there just wasn't anything, I don't think, when I'm getting out of these, it was about what's unique and kind of stuck out to me. So there was nothing like super, I don't think that stood out unique about it, but it was very well balanced. You tasted everything that you'd expect, the dark plummy esters, the caramel, the toffee, a little bit of like a chocolatey roast in the end. Finished really nice, wanted to go back in. It was just a great overall beer. It just didn't I don't think stand out above the others, and I think there's something interesting about the top 3 that really spoke to me that put him there. Again, nothing wrong with that beer. It was very good. Number 3, I'm coming in with Kurt from Fermentation Adventures. And again, this was very, very good beer. Super good. Again, you tasted everything you'd expect out of an English yeast. You got those esters, the toffee, the plum. And I think the only thing holding me back from putting Kurt's higher is the aroma popped so much in that beer. The flavor, I feel like, didn't back it up as well. Like it was there. It was just a little bit more muted. So aroma wise, I think, Kurt's could be 1, but as overall experience, once you get into that flavor, it was there. It just got muted, and it was like, man, that aroma is so good. Flavor doesn't follow through, but again, I think you tasted everything that you'd want: the toffee, the plum, the raisin, the slight roast chocolate, all that good stuff. Body carb was really, really good. So Kurt's there at number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with Sean from Brookside Brews. And I think this one, the thing that separated, these two for me was Sean's. I could taste the base malt in it. I could taste that Maris Otter really coming through a little bit more than some of the others, where I really got like a nice bread crustiness to it. And then it kind of gave into, there's the toffee, the caramel, the plum, the raisin. I don't think I got really any maybe like a hint of roast chocolate on that one, but I think just the way that presented itself, where you get the base malt and then came the darker malt flavors, and kind of the way that the beer came through, was really, really good. That's why it's number 2. I think it was the first. I don't remember what order it was, but one of the only ones I could really pick up that base malt really, really well without having to think about it too hard. So that's why that one, to me, just it stood out. And then number 1, Wrecked. And again, this was one of those, again, yeah, Wrecked was the first beer I reviewed that I really picked up the base malt on it. And to me, it was like a deeper, doughy, like a pretzel crust type thing that I picked up, a really nice base malt character. Then again, followed by those caramel. But this was a lighter sweetness, more of like a caramel instead of like a burnt chocolate toffee. And then I got a little bit of chocolate in the end, a little bit of roast, and then there was something interesting, and I think I described it during my video as like black licorice. I don't know if that's accurate, but it was something that perceived to me that way. And maybe it's like some sort of like nutty quality or something, the way it mixed with but it perceived to me, the best way I could describe it was a black licorice, which I like black licorice. Whether it's appropriate style or not, I don't know. And it might not be a black licorice character, but that's kind of how my palate perceived it. And it's something about that flavor stood out to me. I remember drinking it, just being like, oh man, there's something super complex about this. And really it just spoke to me. And that's what I said. A lot of these was just like, after obviously Big Dog's not being too styled, the next 7 were all what to me I perceived to my palate to be like what I'd want to drink again, to be the most complex, what stood out to me, what spoke to me to rank them. So again, everybody, great job with this beer. I can't wait until we do the next one, whether I'm a participant again or just a taster. These are so much fun. I really feel like I'm hitting my stride with the reviews. I think it's kind of my bread and butter. Obviously, I haven't made a lot of content this year, but I think this is where I feel comfortable in front of the camera doing beer reviews. I think I've gotten a lot more confident with it, especially going to a couple of the Brewtubers brew unions now and having the guys in person and doing our Phantasm kind of challenge last year and experiencing my palate compared to other people's. I'm a little more confident in my palate and what I'm picking up these days. By no means do I have the best palate. I kind of tell myself I have a peasant palate. But again, like I said, I tasting beers with some of the guys at this point and watching their videos compared to mine, we're all picking up a lot of similar stuff. So I feel pretty good about where I am with tasting. So I'll take a page out of old Kurt's book here. Hey, anybody, you got some homebrew you want me to try, review on camera, send them over. If you're a part of the Brewtubers, you can get my info from our roster. So like I said, I like doing it. I wish I could get a better setting or something, so I'm not just sitting here in front of the camera just looking at it the whole time. But like I said, I think I'm getting really comfortable being in front and reviewing beers. So hey, like I said, anybody wants to send me over, go right ahead. But yeah, I can't wait till the next experiment. Like I said, it's been really fun. And don't forget, shout out to all of our sponsors, especially Imperial Yeast. Thank you for sending all of us who participated in this experiment a couple packs of yeast. I've used mine up already. It was awesome. I just put a Dunkelweizen on tap using the Stefan strain, I believe it is, whatever their Hefeweizen strain is. So can't wait to try that when it's fully carved. And shout out to Beer and Wine Hobby for supplying us with the ingredients we all ordered from there. So we all have the same lot of ingredients. So really awesome for them working with us on that. And like I said, can't wait till the next one, guys. It's been fun. Until next time, I'll see you later.